There were some prototypes of combat aircraft tests of vertical takeoff and landing designed by Yakovlev. The Yak-141, also known as Yak-41 1000, was tasked with the air defense of the Soviet fleet and flew for the first time. In March of 1987, only 4 demonstrators were built, but it's one of those curious planes that I like to bring to the world of aviation's aeropedia. When, in the 70s, the Soviet Navy wanted a more complete plane with greater capabilities than what the ICAK-38 offered with vertical takeoff. They decided to formulate a new contract in which not only would it surpass the performance of its predecessor, the IAC-38, but also that of the Harrier of English manufacture. This plane had to have a sustained supersonic speed and maneuverability, radar and weapons load similar to those of the front-line fighters of the time. Its mission was going to be the air defense of the fleet of the new Admiral Kuznetsov-class aircraft carriers, which the Soviet Union was planning to build in the 80s. More than 50 designs were studied. A key problem was designing an aircraft with vector thrust and an afterburning engine, which was essentially for supersonic speeds. It was decided that the best arrangement was a vectored nozzle located behind the center of gravity, as well as vertical thrust jets located behind the pilot's cabin. The 3 engines were controlled through an interconnected digital system that was capable of controlling both the engine startup and the thrust modulation of the 3 engines. During landing and hovering, Yakovlev obtained funding for 4 prototypes. The first was a fuselage for static and fatigue tests. The second was an engine test bed and also did not fly. However, the third and fourth were for flight tests. The first conventional takeoff flight was on March 9, 1987, and the first stationary flight with vertical takeoff was on December 29, 1989. From April 91, landings and takeoffs were made on regular runways and also on ski jump type ramps. The new designation IAC 41-1000 was adopted around 1991 to reflect a shift towards the configuration, multi-purpose of a land-based fighter-bomber airplane. But this was very limited in its combat capabilities, speed, range, and flight autonomy compared to other aircraft of the time. More efficient, like the new medium-heavy fighter Mikoyan 29 and the long-range heavy fighter Su-27, which easily surpassed all flight tests of the 70s. To gain sufficient power and achieve vertical takeoff with the maximum fuel load capacity, the afterburner had to be used in the main engine, which imposed certain limitations from the type of runway where the plane could operate, causing possible fuel fires from the heat of the runway exposed to the hot engine gases. The parts subjected to excessive heat from the engines during landing were made of titanium. And no less than 26% of the total aircraft had to be manufactured with graphite or composite material. Due to heat accumulation, hover flight was limited to no more than 2.5 minutes for takeoff and hover flight. The great escape of the main turbine engine was vectored downwards at a 90-degree angle, with large eccentrically shaped rings spinning into stages and in opposite directions to achieve tilting the gas exhaust nozzle downwards. Working in conjunction with the two front lift engines, vertical engines mounted behind the pilot's cockpit. These had a gate that opens over the plane's fuselage to let air in, and other gas jet exhaust gates that open downwards. Thank you. In August 1991, the program was halted due to the Soviet Union's ongoing reduction of the military budget because of the economic crisis. After the cancellation announcement, Yakovlev began discussions with several foreign partners who could help fund the program. Lockheed Corporation from the United States, which was in the process of developing the X-35 for the Joint Strike Fighter or Joint Strike Fighter program, acquired production rights of the advanced IAC 141's blueprints, and its original flight system is the basis for the development of the new vertical takeoff houses of the US Navy. The X-35B, which won the Joint Strike Fighter program contest, a new video. I would like to know what aircraft you would like to see in the next videos. Write them down in the comments below. Until the next delivery, I'm Marcos and this is Aeropedia from World of Aviation. Thank you.